everybody. Good morning. I'm Rob Evans, and welcome to Daybreak Plus, a brand new show that's going to recap all the local news you may have missed overnight, and then we're going to go deep into the topics that actually matter to you. We're so excited to bring this to you. Thanks for hanging out. And if you're looking for a regular Daybreak, you can hit the down arrow on your remote, or you can just scroll below this video. But hopefully, though, you'll hang out with us as we begin with what you need to know today, and we begin with Texas's worst measles outbreak in 3 decades. Now, we just found out that someone who visited San Marcos about February 14th, Valentine's Day, tested positive for measles in Gaines County. Now, the Texas Department of State Health Services released more details about where that patient went. So if you were in the area and you want to know if you came in contact, here are the details. On Valentine's Day, Friday the 14th, the person visited the Texas State University campus in San Marcos. Then they ate at Twin Peaks right along I-35. The next day, Saturday, they were in San Antonio to visit UTSA for the UTSA Day. And then they went to 3 different tourist attractions along Alamo Street in downtown San Antonio. That night, they went to Mr. Krabby's Seafood Restaurant. Then the next day, Sunday, well, you see right there, they went to Buc-ee's in New Braunfels, one of the most crowded places. That was between 9 a.m. and noon.
It can be dangerous, especially for babies and young children. 9 out of 10 unvaccinated, unprotected individuals coming in contact with this virus will get the disease.
All right, so you're wondering probably, of the measles, what exactly does it include? Well, it includes a rash on the skin. It includes white spots inside the mouth, a high fever, cough, a runny nose. You can see right there what it would look like, okay? So if you think you may have been exposed, that's why we're talking about this, right? Contact your local health department for further instructions. If you have symptoms, do not leave your home, okay? Call a healthcare provider immediately. Do not go to your doctor's office. Otherwise, you'll expose other people, right? Health officials say the best way to prevent measles is to get the measles, mumps, and rubella or MMR vaccine if you so choose. Health officials say, of course, that is the best way. They say 90%, as you heard there, of people who are not vaccinated or have not had a previous measles infection will become infected. Also happening right now, the San Antonio Zoo is closing some of its bird exhibits because of the bird flu. Yeah, that's still going on as well. Officials with the zoo say a dead wild vulture was found on the grounds and had what they call, this is technically, non-negative results for avian influenza. Non-negative. You can deal with that, right, and understand what that means. Out of an abundance of caution, the zoo is temporarily closing 3 bird exhibits. Fish feeders at the zoo also aren't going to be available because fish food can attract wild birds. And speaking of bird flu, egg prices continuing to soar because of shortages of eggs caused by bird flu. The average cost of a dozen eggs is now, well, about double what it was last year, 96% higher than it was 1 year ago. Well, one way to not worry about the price of eggs is to win the lottery, right? Well, Governor Greg Abbott calling on the Texas Rangers, though, to investigate a winning lottery ticket that was sold right here in Austin worth $83 million. Now, lottery courier jackpot suspended operations here in Texas. This is worrisome, right? If you bought a ticket, as ABC's Rhiannon Alley reports, the Texas Lottery Commission says it is now moving to ban lottery couriers.
Controversy in Texas amid concern the state's lottery system could be rigged. The governor now launching an investigation into multi-million-dollar drawings purchased through lottery couriers.
I think it gave rise to some concern that it's possible to game the system.
In Texas, people can buy lottery tickets by placing their order online or by using an app. A third-party courier then picks up the ticket for you in person. At issue, are those couriers too powerful? Back in 2023, a group won a $95 million jackpot by buying so many tickets they bought nearly every possible combination of winning numbers. Another issue? Some of the courier services own the stores that are selling the tickets, like this store in Austin, which recently sold an $83 million winning ticket, raising conflict of interest concerns.
This is not the way the lottery was designed to operate.
The lieutenant governor visited the store, speaking on the phone with its lawyer.
Do you not see an issue where the public might lose confidence if the courier service sold an $83 million winning ticket and they also own the location that printed the ticket?
I do understand the concern.
The lottery courier used for buying that ticket was an app called Jackpocket, a subsidiary of the sports gambling company DraftKings.
The bottom line is, if people are going to have confidence in the lottery, we have to be sure that no one has an advantage.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, that is concerning to say the least. And in a statement, the governor wrote in part, quote, Texans must be able to trust in our state's lottery system and know the lottery is conducted with integrity and lawfully. Also happening right here in Central Texas, layoffs are impacting Central Texans who work for the IRS. These layoffs are part of the Trump administration's ongoing effort to shrink the federal workforce. And we talked to one local IRS employee who you just saw right there, who says she was actually officially given her termination over the weekend. The employee had been working as a tax examining technician. Basically, she could be considered a probationary employee. The ongoing federal layoffs have been targeting probationary employees just like her. Take a listen to what she has to say.
It's all really uncertain. I don't really know where I stand with, finding unemployment, finding a job, all that, because I haven't gotten any other papers from my job saying that you're terminated. I haven't gotten, severance. I haven't gotten any sort of information on that.
A lot of unknowns going on all over the place right about now. And according to ABC News, the IRS layoffs are impacting about 6,000 employees nationwide. And we did reach out, by the way, to the IRS to get a statement yesterday and last week, but we did not get a response. Well, it is 7:07 right now. Time to get a look at weather and traffic with Grace and Hannah. I'll tell you what, we had some foggy skies this morning. How's it looking right now?
Let's take a look outside because this is actually a look at downtown overlooking the Pfluger pedestrian bridge, and you can't see anything out there. That fog really moved in pretty quickly this morning, all coming from the east end, and thankfully we will see a lot of sunshine as we head closer and closer to the noon hour, and that will start to burn up as we head into the middle part of this morning. A look at temperatures: 48 at the airport, 46 over at Camp Mabry, so kind of a cool start to this morning. Not too bad, especially for a February day. Want to take a look at our tower cam from Westlake Hills, usually looking over towards the Pennybacker Bridge, but now facing Austin, and you can barely see actually some of those little tops of the skyscrapers there just poking out of those low-level clouds. So certainly starting to move into the area. If you're closer to Lake Austin or Lady Bird Lake, this will start to move over towards your neighborhood in the next few hours or so. And then, of course, as we head closer to that expiration date for our dense fog advisory, we will start to see that kind of lighten. So another vantage point, again, what I just showed you a little bit smaller now is now our downtown Austin cam. Can't see anything there. So if you are just on the edges of the I-35 corridor to the east, you certainly need to be watching out for that dense fog. We're down to 0 miles of visibility for areas like Pflugerville and Taylor, down towards the Austin airport. Been coming in at about a half a mile for a while now. So if you're headed out on a flight this morning, just make sure you're taking it slow, giving yourself plenty of time to get to the airport. And that goes obviously for work and school as well. And Hannah will have a check on your traffic in just a few moments. Here's a look at that dense fog advisory. The counties that are included in it are going to be Milam down to Lee, Bastrop, and Caldwell, as well as Fayette County. And it's possible that the National Weather Service could also include areas of the I-35 corridor if fog is dense enough in some of those neighborhoods, which we just saw on the map, that it is getting a little bit more dense as we head into the next hour or so. If you are headed up towards Dallas, East Texas, over towards Houston, they are also under a dense fog advisory until about 10 a.m. this morning Central Time. All right, hourly forecast shows a lot of better conditions as we head towards this afternoon. 75 degrees by about 4 p.m. and probably reaching above that for many places chances, I'm going about 76 or 77 for the Austin Metro today. All right, now we have a repeat forecast for tomorrow. Sun in the afternoon, but fog, unfortunately, will form again in the morning. Some of those values could be under about a half a mile for most places for tomorrow. And you can see that stretches all the way south and even into portions of Gillespie County for your Wednesday morning. So make sure that you're just giving yourself plenty of time for tomorrow as well. More changes incoming this week. We do have a cold front incoming on Thursday. Chances for showers and drizzle will be apparent as well. That's why we got that 30% chance on there. We're not dealing with a 10 or 20, so it's going to be pretty minimal. There is a look at that cold front. It's going to be strewn across those northern portions of Texas early Wednesday morning and then moving across our area as we head through Wednesday night and early Thursday. Now, it will squeeze out a couple of showers. You see that up towards Dallas at 5 a.m. on Thursday. That does start to follow the cold front as we head into midday on Thursday and Thursday afternoon, but it's not going to be much. I think most of that scattered shower activity is going to be actually down towards San Antonio and even extending further towards Brownsville. Here's a look Thursday, a little bit closer. You can see minimal rainfall expected for our area. We'll probably mostly note that cloud cover. And then this is by 7 p.m. on Thursday, only 64 degrees, so we will take temperatures down a notch too. As for future rainfall, expecting about 1/100 of an inch at most. So not expecting a ton of rainfall, but we are expecting a cooler temperature gauge for our Thursday, 67 degrees for that high temperature. We're right back up to the 70s as we head towards this weekend. I do think Saturday we could hit over 79 degrees, probably the lower 80s for a lot of us across Central Texas. 6 to 10 days out, we are expecting warm temperatures to stick around. So the first couple days of March are expected to be pretty good out here. All right, 7-day forecast. Again, like I said, rinse and repeat forecast for our Wednesday. We're starting off with fog in the morning. We're dipping down for Thursday. Those temperatures, also a chance you see a few showers around the area, and then back to the 70s with lots of sunshine for this weekend. And then Sunday and Monday, we will watch the potential for some isolated showers, some thunderstorms, possibility of severe weather is there. Right now it's pretty low, but let's take another look from our traffic cameras with Hannah with that fog out there.
Let's do it. Your time now is 7:12. I mean, this thick fog is really quickly turning into a much bigger problem. You can kind of see how it's kind of creepy the way it's slowly moving in. This is a live look approaching the Miller neighborhood near Capitol Plaza and those southbound lanes. There's still an active crash and you now can't see it anymore because of how thick this fog is. So definitely factor that in. And this is one of those typical trouble spots where it's already moving slow this time of the morning. So as you can imagine, it is now contributing to a much slower pace. And then check this out near the South Austin terminal on the 130 toll road at Pierce Lane. Really of that thick fog as well, kind of creating a slow crawl out there. So just a lot to keep in mind out there. So let's take a look once again. So that is the crash that you can no longer see on the camera because it's so thick out there. And this is in the southbound lanes at 51st Street. So approaching Dell Children's in the Miller neighborhood. A couple miles of that backup all the way past 290 at this point. And then we also have a couple of new notes to share with you. There's actually a car fire right now in Kyle on top of that fog going on. And this is in the northbound lanes at Windy Hill Road. So kind of lighten up red there if you're approaching the Buda area and the northbound lanes. And then on top of that, we still have an active crash at Terry Road and the northbound lanes. So just really kind of a treacherous commute as you're making in from South Austin today and really feeling those delays. Taking a look out in Del Valley, you can also see if you're moving in from Garfield and those westbound lanes heading out towards Del Valley High School, definitely seeing some delays there on top of some car trouble. Just throw it in there across the map. And that is on 71 westbound at Riverside Drive. So this is one of those mornings you'll need some extra time. Have that patience and please be very careful for those pedestrians. We got a lot of runners here in Austin, Rob.
Oh my goodness, that was absolutely an incredible video right there of all that the fog rather. But you know what? It wasn't fog, but it was smoke that was a problem for Delta Airlines. More trouble in the skies. Passengers on Delta. Look at this. Could you imagine? This is cell phone video from inside this plane. Delta from Atlanta it was heading to South Carolina when they had smoke on the plane. The passengers, my goodness, they had to obviously land. They turned back around. 94 people were on board, but could you imagine what was going on inside that airplane. Everybody was okay, but certainly a scary situation in that plane. In fact, take a look at this. So also another scary situation. This is from the snow, though, in Colorado.
Under the snow, it just uncovered him. He is breathing.
Yes.
So that there was the rescue of a snowmobiler in Colorado. He survived despite that right there being buried for more than an hour. They couldn't even find him, let alone dig him out, for more than an hour. 3 other snowmobilers became partially buried in this slide, but they were able to make it out. However, this just kind of shows you how dangerous it is. 14 people have been killed in avalanches in the U.S. so far this year. Look at that. That is absolutely terrifying. All right, moving out to retail news. Nationwide fabric and craft retailer Jo-Ann is going out of business, closing all of its stores. We talked about closing some of them. Now they're closing all of them after more than 80 years. It filed for bankruptcy twice already within a year. Now Jo-Ann says, listen, the slow consumer demand, inventory shortage, it's time. They're shutting down. Of course, the latest in a trend of big brick and mortar stores being forced to close stores across the country. By the way, ABC News reports store closures nationwide are up 420% this year compared to this time last year. That's 4 times as many stores being closed. And it is 7:16. It is time for our deep dive this morning. Today, we're going deep on Texas politics. The 89th legislature has been in session for more than a month now, and thousands of bills have been filed already. More than 2,000 were filed before it even started. One of them, filed in the Senate, is taking aim at diversity, equity, and inclusions in public schools, DEI. Now, the bill reiterates that parents have control over moral and religious teachings, educational decisions, and what medical treatment can and cannot be provided to their kids. And it also, though, bans K through 12 schools from having DEI initiatives and hiring programs. It bans the teaching of gender identity. It bans the teaching of sexual orientation. It creates an avenue for parents to file complaints about any violations. Now, the Senate Committee on Education will hold a hearing on this bill on Thursday. Again, this is just one of the record number of bills that have been filed this session. Never before have so many bills been filed. So we sat down with senior political reporter Ashley Goodell to get some insight. Well, there's so much to talk about that Ashley joined us right now. And Ashley, how do you even wrap your mind around all that's going on at the Capitol? Because it's changing day by day.
Yeah, you just take a lot of notes and pay a lot of attention and drink a lot of coffee. That's how you get it done. Otherwise, yeah, it's who knows, right? It's a lot to keep track of.
Well, you know, I mean, you're the expert, the political director here at KVUE. And what are the things that we really need to be watching out for right now that really will affect us as people?
So, I mean, I think there's so much, right? Every bill has the potential to really impact your life. I think when we think about day to day, the big bills obviously are going to be in the Senate. You know, it's going to be the bills Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's top priorities, and those are listed kind of 1 through 40. He's set that aside. And then in the House, so those top bills, the lower the number, the bill number, the more important it is to either the speaker or the lieutenant governor. And so that's how you can pay attention to some of the more controversial or the big bills.
And the number one is the only thing that they have to actually do, right?
Yes, number one is the budget. Number one is always the budget. The House and the Senate take turns each session as to who takes the lead on the budget. This is the Senate's turn to take the lead. So they'll pass SB 1, even though they are also, the House is working through HB 1, but they will pass the Senate version as the Senate's year to lead.
And it's looking pretty good. The budget's looking good. No major problems for the state.
Well, no, the state has a massive surplus, a budget surplus again. We're talking about more extra money that Texas has than most states have for their entire budgets. And that's just our play money. That's like after we go and send money to the rainy day fund.
Right.
This is our pet project, leftover money. What are we going to do with all this money? And it's, you know, a couple billion.
There are a lot of people who'd like to get a little, some of that, maybe teachers,
Absolutely.
maybe educators.
Absolutely.
We can talk about that later. But speaking of which, that leads us into number 2.
Yeah, SB 2 is the Senate's education savings account bill. So this has been a movement, right, to have what proponents of this like to call school choice for years and years and years. I mean, there's some, you can really kind of go back to the history, right, of education savings accounts, school choice, vouchers, whatever you want to call it. The history isn't really pretty, right? It's like rooted in racism. And everyone sort of acknowledges that. But proponents of school choice say, but it has evolved. And now we're giving parents an option to send their kids who are, they like to say, trapped in public schools. It gives them help if they want to send their kids to private schools.
Oh, well, here's a question, and I know that I'm not trying to attack anyone in particular, but how in the heck can a kid who needs it the most, how can their parents or if they have a single mom, for example, how are you supposed to get these kids to private school in the first place? There's no buses at these private schools. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm just a bystander here.
Well, and it's not enough money to cover tuition. So if you have a single parent, I mean, you know, the supporters of this idea say, well, you know, these schools offer scholarships. These schools offer other things for the children to help them. They just want to be able to have the option, right, to help these families. I think what you're hearing from people on the other side of the aisle and the other side of the issue, I say the other side of the aisle, you have rural Republicans who oppose this plan. They see it as a handout. You'll hear terms like welfare for the wealthy, that this is just a coupon for them to get a discount on their private school tuition, which is already, you know, expensive and limited, right? Because
100,000, is that right? 100,000 students, is that right?
That's how many. So if you look at Senate Bill 2, right, because the House has filed its own version, but both the House and the Senate agree they're only going to put $1 billion towards this effort. Only $1 billion. Yeah. I say that this would be the largest rollout, right, of an ESA plan in the U.S. That $1 billion does not come from the Foundation Schools program, which is what we use to fund our public schools. This is like $1 billion from that surplus, right, from that extra money that we talked about. Granted, it's all taxpayer money. It's all Texas money. Some people would say there are no separate pots. It's all money that could have been spent on something else. So, but both chambers agree $1 billion is the cap. And so with the ESAs in Senate Bill 2, it's at least $10,000 per student. You get more money if the student has a disability.
Right, yeah.
But that will roughly fund 100,000 ESAs.
And there's been so much pushback from public schools worrying about losing their money, quite frankly. And they're already underfunded because of recapture, which is a whole different year. I mean, that's just a long topic.
It's a lot of topic. So Robin Hood, recapture. I mean, this is one of those things people have been yelling from the rooftop. So believe it or not, let's see, what session was that? Must have been 2019. They passed a bill and it decreased recapture. It decreased how much the school districts had to give back, but it's still a huge number. And so, you know, this idea is, you know, in Texas, you pay for schools with your property taxes. Any homeowner can look at their property tax bill and they can see that half or more than half of the money that they pay in property taxes, that's school taxes, that's school ISD taxes. And it's because the state only puts in so much money. You know, the state doesn't pay for schools, the state doesn't pay for stadiums. Those are all your bonds. So the idea is these districts that are property rich, that have, you know, houses that are worth a lot of money and they're therefore collecting more money in property taxes, well, they should give up some of that money to help the smaller schools in rural districts where they don't have a lot of property worth a lot of money, that they should help out.
And this was judge approved years ago, but it's just a lot of people say it's time for an upgrade. It's time to change it up.
Last session, there were bills that would have boosted public schools, would have given teachers raises, right? It passed the Senate flying colors, the regular sessions, special sessions. The Senate was all about giving teachers raises and all about giving teachers raises separately from passing an ESA or a voucher bill. The House put it together. And that's why everything died, right? So, and the Senate has done that again. They have a teacher raise bill, that's Senate Bill 26, was voted out of committee last week. And so we'll see what happens with that this time. The House also has its own public education bill separate from an ESA bill, but they're calling it the Texas two-step.
Oh, okay.
So you can do with that what you want as in terms of whether or not they're going to pass them both, and frankly, whether or not Governor Abbott is going to sign one without the other. So they really feel like Texas is behind. There are so many other states that already have an ESA program, that already have some version of this. And, you know, it's again that narrative that there are children who are trapped in these schools that are failing them, that they need something extra. Now, it's interesting, if you've been in Texas for a long time, you know that the Republicans are in control. The Republicans dictate our school system, how much money the schools get, what the schools teach, like all of that. But then they're saying that, oh, but the schools are failing. And I think that's where educators and rural Texans have a problem, because, you know, they are stuck doing what they are mandated to do. Private schools don't have those rules. Private schools do not have to serve every student. They can pick and choose who gets in and who doesn't.
They don't have to take the vouchers.
They won't have to take a voucher if they don't want to. They don't have to take disabled students. They don't have to take students with special needs. And there's no standardized testing. And so the things that you require public schools to do, you don't require private schools. And so some people have an issue with the playing field, but there are, you know, senators like Senator Creighton who really believe this is best for a student. If I have a child who has, you know, severe ADHD, or if I have a child with autism and I really want to send them to this school that specializes in this private school and they can get the help that they need, but it's just a little bit out of reach, or I really can't afford it, the state could help me. The state could help me get my child exactly what I need. If my child is being bullied every day and is fearful of their life to go to school, well, the state can help me take my kid out and put my kid in a better environment. You know, that I think is the mindset. And I don't think that they, you know, Senator Creighton, we talked, and I don't think that he is genuinely trying to get over on anyone or do something nefarious. I really don't. He seems very to genuinely believe in this as an option, and that you can do both, that you can take care of public schools and you can fund public schools, but you can also help the kids who need a little bit more help and need to be in a different environment.
What else is the big thing you need to worry about or think about?
I mean, it's so hard to wrap my mind around one thing because there are so many things, and it just depends on your priorities. I mean, if you really care about children learning, you know, all of American history, you may be concerned about the anti-DEI bill that would ban diversity, equity, and inclusion in K through 12 schools. I mean, it's become a bad word, right? Diversity has become a bad word. And so that's something you may be concerned about. If you just, you know, are a Texan who loves your day-to-day life, you may not be too keen on what's happening with the Texas lottery.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's happening right now this week. Yeah, that's happening right down the street. So you may be concerned about whether or not you're going to be able to still enjoy Texas lottery.
And buying it at least from your phone, which I used to do, and now it turns out.
Oh, it's gone. That is, you can kiss that luxury goodbye, my friend.
It was just so easy, though. You sit there and, I forgot to buy the Powerball. Boom, boom, boom. Well, we appreciate your time. Great insight right there. And for people who want to learn more about Texas politics, that you have a show on the weekends. What can they watch?
Yes, they can watch Texas This Week. It airs Sunday mornings at 8:40 a.m. right on KVUE, and we talk to the lawmakers. We break down all of this, all of these issues. We try to
issues is a word.
Yeah.
All right, our first guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate it. We are leaving you this morning with something to talk about. A big congrats to the Texas women's basketball team, ranked #1 for the first time in 21 years. And they showed why they're the best, dominating over Georgia last night. It was incredible. Take a listen to what it was like.
Texas has spread out this lead. Preston elevates, and we saw a lot of that in shoot around. She's very comfortable stopping and popping in the paint.
A lot of stopping, a lot of popping. Texas won 57-26. They are now 27-2 on the year. They have 2 games left in the regular season. Then, of course, you got the SEC tournament and then the NCAA tournament. So good luck to the ladies. And that's it for Daybreak Plus. If you want us to let us know what's important to you, please let us know about it. Text us. The number on your screen, 512-459-9442. You can also message me at Rob Evans TV on Instagram, Facebook, or X. Stick around, though, because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE.